invite you to address this Congress. Thank you.
His Excellency, the Vice President of the Sister Republic of Kenya, the Honorable Minister from the UAE, all the ministers of Uganda, the leaders of the Afro-Arab Youth Council, give me, because you delayed, I came, then I had to wait, and I have another program. So that's why you should allow me to give you my message, then I can go away and then you continue. Now, Africa is 1.5 billion people now, population of Africa. The Arabs outside Africa, I don't know how many there are, maybe like another 100 million, because some of the Arabs are in Africa. But if you take Iraq and Syria, and maybe they're like 100 million or something, because Egypt and Morocco and those are part of the 1.5 billion. So here you are talking maybe of a population of 1.6 billion people now. In the next 30 years, Africa will be 2.5 billion people. It will be almost 30% of the human race. Africa has been underpopulated for most of the time. Remember, the human beings have been here on earth for 4.5 million years. And all the human beings are former Africans. Even these Arabs were Africans. But when they left, they lost the color of the skin. So I regard them as African diaspora. And all the Europeans and the Chinese and all those. Now, what happened is that after the last ice age, when some human beings left Africa and went to other parts of the world, they multiplied more than the population which stayed in Africa. Why? Because, as you can see, the climate here is very good for the human beings, but also good for our enemies, the mosquitoes, the tsetse flies, the microbes. So those enemies suppressed the population in Africa for most of the millennia. But now, that's why until recently, it's now for the first time that Africa has got a bigger population than India. India has been having a bigger population than the whole of Africa until now, recently, when we have overtaken them. Why? Because of the other problem of the diseases. Yet Africa is 12 times the size of India. You can fit India into Africa 12 times, and it would fit there. But the population has been smaller than that one of India. But now, because of modern medicine, we have now overtaken India and China. And in the next 30 years, 27 years, population of Africa will be 2.5 billion. including the Arabs in Africa. So if you add the other people in Iraq and Syria and UAE, this is a very big force. So therefore, you young people, you need to know that you belong to the future of the world. The most important group for the future of the world is here, in the Afro-Arab world. But we have been having problems all these years because of management. And our movement has been studying these problems all this time. For the last 65 years, some of us, like Dr. Gunda here, starting as a student movement in the 1960s, we have studied what the problems are. And we have written a lot of documents. Now, one of them, I have it here. I gave it when we met at the TICAD with the Japanese. And in this one, we identified what we call the 10 strategic bottlenecks that had kept Africa backward. I was talking about Africa, but you can add the Arab world also. And they are all here. The 10 strategic bottlenecks. Why Africa and the Arab world are the tail of the world, not the head of the world. It's all here. We have got a lot of potential, but the problem is some confusion. Now here, ideological obstacle number one is ideological orientation. Confusion about what is important. And the Arab world is really affected seriously by it. Even here in Africa, that was the problem. Uganda had become a failed state because of that. The question is, what is the most important? When you talk of politics, when I went to Khartoum, to Bashir, there were people in the hall in Khartoum. And I said, you people, what is the most important? Hawiya or Maslaha? These Arabs know the difference between Hawiya and Maslaha. What they call Hawiya is identity. Identity. Tribe or religion. What is more important? Is it Hawiya or Maslaha? Now, some of these people, identity or interests. Some of the people have been saying Hawiya is more important. I am Sunni, I am Shia, I am Arab, I am African. That's how Sudan was destroyed. Sudan was destroyed by the politics of identity. Sudan was a great country, 1 million square miles. Very lucky to have all those people there. But some confused people introduced the concept of Hawiya. Arabs, Africans, Muslims, non-Muslims. That's how Sudan was destroyed. Here in Uganda, we had the same problems. That's why Uganda had failed. We had the politics of tribes, of religion. Catholics, Protestants, Muslims, tribes, and so on. Until we came and we said, no, for us, we are for the politics of interests. Me, I am a wealth creator. I am not a parasite. I don't live by on anybody. I live on my sweat. I am a cattle keeper. What I want from any of you, if you can, buy my milk. Buy my beef. Buy my bananas. Otherwise, what else do I need from you? So don't come to me to tell me that we are the same Hawiyah. I'm not interested in Hawiyah, just Hawiyah. Hawiyah is like tribe, identity. What I want to know from you, are you going to buy my meal? Yes, we can share other things. We can share language, we can share other things, but not make me forget prosperity. Prosperity. Where does prosperity come from? It comes from producing a good or a service and selling it. If I do that today and tomorrow, I become prosperous. How will you get prosperity if you don't work on the issue of the market? So, there are so many points here, 10 of them. You will go through them, they are here. This booklet I will give, I don't know whether they will get enough copies, but they will give a copy to the Secretariat so that you can print more. If you go them, you will see our analysis of what we think needs to be done in Africa and the Afro-Arab world so that we gain our full potential. I don't have time to go through all the 10 points, but you will read them. So with these few words, what do I do? I was looking through the 10 points, the strategic bottlenecks, and I thought I should mention, and you can read this booklet, but I thought I should highlight, because what I started with was ideological disorientation. Ideology in politics is like medicine. A doctor, when he sees a patient, he must carry out the diagnosis. If the diagnosis is correct, the patient will be healed because he will be able to write a prescription. But if the diagnosis is wrong, the patient will never be healed. So if you say that the problem of society is identity, tribes, religion, and so on, if that's your diagnosis, then what is the end result? Because the identities are numerous, religious, tribal, and so on. So that's why we are saying problem number one, for here in Uganda, that was the problem. And that's what I started with. That's why I was talking of the Hawiyah, Maslaha. And I know a casualty, a whole country which was destroyed. Sudan was destroyed by its leaders emphasizing Hawiyah instead of Maslaha. But I saw other 2 points. Because of number one, because of when you emphasize Hawiyah instead of Maslaha, then you get the problem of undermining the state institutions. How will you build a national army if you believe in Hawiyah? When a country has got many tribes, many religions, how will you have a capable national army? How do you have capable political party? How can you have a political party which can win elections in a country if you are emphasizing Hawiyah, identity? In a country of many identities. So that becomes the second casualty. This is the problem of Somalia. Do we have our Somali people here? Where are the Somalis? There the problem is clans. Because of that, even when we train soldiers here, when we train them here, when they go back, they disappear in the clans. So I thought I should hide. This is number 2 in this booklet. Consequence of number 1, collapse of institutions. But I also saw number 6, a fragmented market, a fragmented African market, which is what we started with here. At independence, this huge continent of Africa was divided into 53 countries, each one separate market. So if you say that you are interested in development, how will you develop? By begging, by what? Development, as I said earlier, means producing a good or a service and you sell it, a product. It must be a society of wealth creators. I produce a good or a service and I sell it. Today, tomorrow I sell it. The more I sell, the more prosperous I become. So if you say, we are going to develop, but we shall fragment the African market in 53, are they 53 or 54? Our daughter from Zimbabwe, the one from the African Union, how rich are we with the country? How rich are we with the countries? Are they 54, 50? 50? 55? Now, if Africa is fragmented in 55 separate markets, how will the business people succeed in their business? Now, our leaders saw this after independence. We got independence, Sudan 1955, Ghana 1957, and so on. But by 1980, at that time I was busy fighting Idi Amin. I was not in the government. I was busy doing some other work. But our leaders who were in governments, they saw the danger. They had got independence for 20 years, but there was no progress. So they called a meeting somewhere, and then they adopted what they called the Lagos Plan of Action, where they saw that if you don't have a united market, you can't develop. So they said, we must have a common market of Africa. This was 1980. And they said, we shall have it in phases. Let's start with the regional common markets. the one of East Africa, which is what we call COMESA now, then the one of West Africa, ECOWAS, and then the one of, there was something else, Central Africa, something, and then the Maghreb, Maghreb was supposed to have a regional common market, the Maghreb. Now, the East African market has been struggling, John, COMESA, with all sorts of confusion. These people come in, they go out, because they don't understand the importance of market. For trade, if you don't have somebody who buys what you produce, how will you succeed? How will the business succeed? But it has been limping on, we have been continuing. And you must have heard the anthems which were played here were two. There's the Uganda anthem. Even now when we finish, they will play two anthems. Anthem number one is the one of Uganda. Anthem number two is the one of East Africa. We play the two anthems all the time, here. So, the common market of East Africa has been there, not fully functioning, but trying. Then ECOWAS also, West Africa. But Maghreb could not take off. Maghreb could not take off because of the conflicts which our people have there. You know those conflicts. So therefore, you young people, I've been telling young people, this is not just biology. We are young, yes. That's biology. What is your ideology? Because you can have young fascists. Hitler was young. When he was doing all those terrible things, he was young, Hitler. Even when he died, he was not an old man. He died when he was 56. So, I had almost forgotten that point. The one who is standing before you here is a former young man. But when we were young, with Dr. Gunda here, stand up and they see you. Stand up. We were in disagreement with other young people because we had other young people who were taking the line of neo-colonialism. They are young, biologically, but they believe in neo-colonialism. We are young, but believing in patriotism and Pan-Africanism. So, young is just biology. What is your ideology? For me, I recommend to you the ideology of patriotism, love your countries, whichever they are, Libya, Morocco, love your country, love the whole of it. Don't say, I am young, but also Sunni, and I don't want to work with Shia. That is confusion. Whether you are young or old, you are already a problem for your country. So you can have problem young people and problem old people. But also here we add young and Pan-Africanist. Patriotic, I love Uganda, but Pan-Africanist, love Africa. Because Uganda cannot be prosperous without Africa. The good thing is that sleeping is also good. In French language, it's what they call beaucoup dormir. Dormir beaucoup. Dormir beaucoup is also good. When you are asleep, you don't know the problems of the world. A snake can come in your bedroom, bite you, and you die peacefully because you didn't know. But when you wake up, you start seeing things. Yeah. Now, many Ugandans here were sectarian. But when we mobilize them and they start producing wealth, then they soon discover that their tribe is not enough to buy what they produce. They discover that even the internal market of Uganda is not enough. Because now that Uganda has woken up a bit, we've got surplus of everything. Surplus sugar, surplus cement, surplus milk, bananas, maize. So we are telling Ugandans, where do we sell this? Because the internal market is not enough. Then they look this way, look that way. So, have you heard of Africa? Oh yes, we have heard of Africa. Yes, if you have heard of Africa, why don't we work more with the Africans so that they buy what we produce and we buy what they produce? So I thought that when I was looking through, I thought I should not go away without challenging you about these additional points. There are other points, they are all here, but I thought I should bring out the additional 2 points. State institutions and the market. What we call market in Arabic, soko? Soko? Yes, soko, like Swahili. Like Swahili we say soko in Swahili. Soko. Who will buy our products? Why is it? Because there are two, there's one continent called America. North America, South America. There are only 3 countries in North America: Canada, United States, and Mexico. South America is rich in countries and presidents. There are very many presidents there. El Salvador, Honduras, very many of them. But there is prosperity in the USA, and there is misery in Latin America. And yet Latin America has got a lot of natural resources. I think Latin America has got more natural resources than even the USA. The forests, the water, the what. So what is the problem? For me, I've been telling people that one of the problems between the US and Latin America is that if I am a businessman in the United States, I produce a product in New York, I will sell it all the way to California. Why will I not succeed? But if I'm in South America, Honduras, 2 million people, El Salvador, I don't know how many, Panama, I don't know how many. How do you succeed in such a situation, business-wise? So for Arab youth, biology, yes, but with ideology. Merci beaucoup.